Today, we're going to extend our design dexterity by creating this beautiful summer beach scene in Google Drawings. Along the way, we're going to cover 5 key design skills. Let's get started. Here we are in Google Drawings. The first thing we are going to do is name our document in the top left-hand corner. Let's call it something like Summer Beach Scene. Remember, this document will automatically be saved in your drive. After this, we're going to adjust the size of our checkerboard canvas. To do this, go to File, Page Setup. In the drop-down menu, change the canvas size to widescreen 16:9 and press Apply. Then, we're going to zoom out slightly to see our full canvas by going to View, Zoom, 100%. The first skill we are going to learn today is applying gradients. Notice how the sky in our finished landscape changes from purple to orange. This is called a gradient fill, where one colour changes to another. To apply a gradient to the background, right-click the canvas and select Background, Gradient. Then select the little plus button below Custom to open the Custom Gradient panel. The 2 squares on each side of this line represent the 2 colours that our gradient will change between. Select the square on the left and choose a colour from the drop-down menu with the little circle. We are going to choose the colour Dark Magenta 1. Then select the square on the right and apply the colour Dark Orange 1. After this, we are going to add some gradient stops so we can adjust our gradient slightly. Select the Add button 3 times to add 3 little circles. Click and drag these circles to the left-hand side of the gradient line, making sure to keep them in the same order. Notice now that our sunset gradient is sitting a little higher in the preview box. Select OK to apply. The second skill we are going to learn today is creating shapes that we can fill with colour. Let's start with a rectangle for some water. Select the Shape tool from the toolbar, Shapes, Rectangle. Drag out a rectangle across the bottom half of the canvas, making sure it goes a little past the edges. With the shape still selected, choose the Border Color tool, the little pencil, and make the border transparent. After this, select the Fill Color tool, the little paint bucket, and apply the fill colour Dark Blue 1. If you need to adjust the position of your horizon line, you can change the height of your rectangle by dragging the top middle handle up or down. We can also create custom shapes in Google Drawings using some of the line tools. This is how we are going to create the beach in the foreground. Choose the Select Line drop-down arrow from the toolbar and change the line type to Curve. Starting just outside the left-hand side of your canvas, click, move, and click across the canvas to create a ragged line sloping slightly downwards. When you reach the opposite side of the canvas, continue to click, move, and click along the bottom of the screen until you end up back at the start of the shape. If you've closed your shape correctly, it should fill with a light blue colour and a black border. Now, if you're not happy with your custom shape, you can double-click it using the arrow tool and make any minor adjustments to the purple anchor points. Then press Escape to exit editing mode. With the curved shape selected, turn the border colour to transparent. Then apply the fill colour Dark Blue 3 to give it a silhouette effect. Let's take a moment to see what our artwork will look like when it is printed or exported. Go to File, Print Settings and Preview. Notice that all the shapes overlapping the canvas are cut off when exported. Looking good so far. Close the Print Settings and Preview by selecting Close Preview. Now it's time to make a palm tree. Select the Curve Line tool again and, using the same strategy, draw out a trunk shape bending slightly to the right. After this, select the Shape tool, Shapes, Oval, and drag out a small oval shape to represent a coconut. Use the rotation handle at the top of the shape to rotate the coconut slightly. The third skill we are going to learn today will save you lots of time as a designer. It's called duplicating, which means to make a copy of something. Let's create another 2 coconuts for our tree. Right-click, copy, then right-click, paste to create a second and third coconut, again adjusting the rotation of each one slightly. After this, drag the coconuts into place at the top of the trunk. To create some palm fronds, select the Shape tool, Shapes, Moon, and drag out a moon shape. Use the little yellow rhombus to make the shape thicker or thinner, and then rotate the moon shape so it looks more like a leaf. Right-click Copy and right-click Paste to create 5 palm fronds in total. Move each of the fronds into place, rotating them slightly as required. The next skill we are going to learn is called grouping. Grouping allows you to collect a bunch of shapes and kind of stick them together so you can move them, duplicate them, and scale them as one object. To group the palm tree, click and drag a box over all the fronds, coconuts, and the trunk. Then right-click and select Group. With the group still selected, turn the border color to transparent and make the fill color the same dark blue color as the beach. Click and drag the tree to move it into place so it's just peeking into the scene. After this, right-click Copy and right-click Paste to create a second palm tree and drag it to the opposite side of the canvas. Right-click the second tree and choose Rotate, Flip horizontally. Hold down Shift and scale this second tree down slightly so it looks a little different from the first. Our next step is to create some clouds. Select View, Zoom, 200% to zoom right into the scene. Next, select the Shape tool, Shapes, and choose Round Diagonal Corner Rectangle. Drag out a long, thin version of this shape, and then drag the little yellow rhombus in the top left all the way to the right to round out the corner slightly. After this, make the border color transparent and apply the fill color Light Grey 3. Right-click Copy and right-click Paste to create 2 copies of this same shape. Adjust the size of the copies slightly and then stack them on top of the first rectangle to create a cloud shape. Zoom back out with View, Zoom, 100%. Click and drag a box over all 3 cloud shapes, then right-click, copy, and right-click, paste to create a duplicate. As we did with the palm tree, move this cloud to a new position. Right-click and select Rotate, Flip horizontally. Repeat this process to create a third cloud, making minor adjustments to the placement and the size of the individual shapes. Alright, let's create an umbrella for the foreground. Select the Shape tool, Shapes, Rectangle, and drag out a long, thin rectangle. Then select the Shape tool, Shapes, and choose the chord shape. Hold down Shift and drag out a chord shape next to your rectangle. Then move the bottom yellow rhombus to create a semicircle. Hold down Shift and rotate the semicircle 90 degrees. Grab the bottom anchor point and drag it up slightly to give the umbrella a little bit of a squish. Next, drag it into place on top of the rectangle, using the red guides to ensure it all lines up. Click and drag a box over the umbrella, right-click, and select Group. After this, turn the border color to transparent and make the fill color dark blue 3. Rotate the umbrella slightly and then drag into place on the sand, scaling up or down if required. Next, we're going to make a sun. Select the Shape tool, Shapes, Oval. Hold down Shift and drag out a circle and then turn the border color to transparent. Select the Fill Color tool, Gradient, and choose the little plus button below Custom. From the Type drop-down, choose the option Radial, which will make our gradient spread out from the center. Select the square on the left and apply the color Dark Orange 1. Select the square on the right and apply the color Light Yellow 1. Select Add once to add a single gradient stop, and then drag the circle slider slightly to the right to introduce a little more orange into our gradient. Then select OK. After this, right-click the sun and select Center on Page horizontally to move the sun to the middle of the canvas. The final skill we are going to learn today is called layering. Notice how our sun is currently sitting in front of our water. Doesn't look quite right, does it? To fix this, right-click the sun and choose Order, Send to Back. The sun will move behind the water layer but will stay in front of our background gradient. If required, move the sun up or down slightly whilst holding Shift. Now we're going to create the sun's reflection on the surface of the water. Select one of the cloud shapes, right-click, copy, and right-click paste to create a duplicate. Move it into place below the sun. Then, choose the Zoom tool, the little magnifying glass from the toolbar, and drag a box around the sun to zoom right in. With the cloud shape still selected, apply the fill color Light Yellow 1. Choose the fill color icon again and select the little plus button below Custom to create a custom color. Drag the transparency of this color down slightly so the slider sits in the middle. Then select OK. As you can see, reducing the transparency makes the sun's reflection a little more see-through on the water. Right-click Copy and right-click Paste to create a second part of this reflection. Make this second shape slightly thinner by dragging up the bottom anchor point. Repeat this process of copying and pasting to create smaller and thinner shapes each time. Now, this process can be a little fiddly, so be patient because the end result looks awesome. After you've created 6 or 7 reflection shapes, hold down Shift and individually click each one to select them all. Right-click and select Distribute vertically. This will ensure that the gaps between all your shapes are the same. Select View, Zoom, 100% to zoom back out. Looks pretty good. At this stage, you should now have all the skills you need to add some additional design elements to your beach scene. We decided to add some birds using the moon shape we used for the palm fronds. Once these were in place, we also created a small sailing ship using a variety of shapes from the Shape tool. How will you customize your design? So there we go, one amazing summer beach scene to display proudly in your classroom. We hope you've enjoyed extending your design skills in Google Drawings. Thanks for watching, we'll see you soon. Hey there! If you like what we do here at Teach Wonderful, make sure to subscribe to our channel. You'll also find plenty of amazing teaching ideas, student worksheets, and merch over at teachwonderful.com. Thanks for watching, we'll see you soon.